Honey, come on in this room, baby. When you get in here, go on hit share.
Rolling through the varsity, warm by some Krispy Kreme. The bucket moon shining down on Peachtree. Fine women everywhere, like living in the fantasy. Children playing in the fountains of Olympic Park, hanging at the underground club, hopping at the dark. Atlanta, baby, ain't nobody above it. When Atlanta smiles, I love it.
Welcome to the first episode of the Black Atlas podcast. My name is Kwamea, also known as the Creole Griot.
And I am Asia, also known as Mrs._Motive number 8, because 8 is great. And we are the Black Atlas. We're basically two Atlanta natives, high school friends that have known each other for a minute who decided to get together and do a podcast. Join us each week as we discover the world of Atlanta and Black culture, as we navigate different things like the different events that happen around the city, as we look at different trending topics and pop culture things that are occurring, and really just navigating things from the perspective of two 20-something-year-olds that are officially stepping into adulthood and journeying throughout the Atlanta city as Black women in America. So thank you for joining us as we travel along the Black Atlas.
Yes, so let's hop into our first segment, City Trends. C-I-T-I, City Trends. This is our segment where we dive into events happening in our great city of Atlanta. So, Asia, what's happening in the city?
Y'all, honestly, too much is happening in the city. It's a lot going on. So one of the first things we want to touch on is Microsoft. And not only Microsoft, but specifically Microsoft coming into Bankhead. So for those of y'all who don't know Atlanta, because the purpose of Black Atlas is to help you all tap into Atlanta culture, Bankhead is the streets, okay? Bankhead is the streets.
You say that with so much power, Bankhead.
Because when you say they're from the streets, they're for the streets, we're really referring to Bankhead. So Microsoft heading into Bankhead is a big deal. It's a big deal for several reasons. So the company has purchased a 70-acre property that they're going to call the Quarry Yards, and it's going to be on the west side of Atlanta. It's going to be directly behind the Bankhead MARTA station. And so this is a huge thing because anyone that knows Atlanta, anyone born and raised in the city, knows that we just love gentrification. Like, if you call it how you see it, we love gentrification, and this is just another example of that. And it doesn't come without some give from Microsoft. So it's not like they're just coming in, taking over the city and not giving anything. The space that they're building is going to be a developmental area, and it's going to have some office spaces, about 1,700 different residential areas. But the big concern that we have now is the fact that we don't know which areas are going to be reserved as affordable housing units. And this becomes an issue all the time across Atlanta, across America, if we look at it as a whole. This is just a microcosm of what's happening.
And even the world.
The whole world.
I remember traveling to Paris, and it's almost the reverse of what happens here. You have low-income people are pushed to the outer skirts of the city, like really, really far off. Whereas right now, they're mostly concentrated deep into the city. But we see that it's actually going to start reflecting the way that it happens in European countries, where people are pushed out of the cities and forced to live in the outskirts, which I think is what we're going to see happen here. Because as beneficial as it is to the economy, in some ways I consider it economic warfare, because you now raise the property taxes and the people who once lived there can no longer afford to live in their own homes. Mm-hmm. You know?
And that leads us to the conundrum of whether or not this truly is a good thing or a bad thing. Because no one, if you look at the heart of gentrification, no one is against the neighborhood getting cleaned up. No one's like, oh man, you guys want to fix up that house? Get out of here. Nobody's against that. We're against the part that you just touched on. The fact that typically the property taxes rise and the people that are from that neighborhood that have put their blood, sweat, and tears, their memories, their history, their legacies, everything into that neighborhood eventually get pushed out. So that's why Microsoft moving into Bankhead, which is definitely like a Black people area, is a big deal, because we don't want our people, our ATLians, are from the Peach State, born and raised, to have to be sent out.
So I agree with you completely, Asia. I do not like to see people displaced from their homes, especially people that look like me who grew up in neighborhoods close to mine, you know what I mean, who have added to my life. However, I think that sometimes our community can be a little reactive. You know, we can say, oh, this is happening, and respond to what's happening rather than being proactive and preventing these things from happening. It's very easy to say, like the saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. So why have we not been utilizing our streets, our resources, people from our communities who have wealth to come back and pour that into our communities to buy back the block? If we did that, we wouldn't be losing Bankhead to Microsoft and other companies, you know?
That's a huge discussion. And I feel you on that on so many levels, because I think there's oftentimes where we get mad at white people or the majority or however you want to phrase it for coming in and taking over. But as you said, what have we done with what we have?
Exactly.
And there's a lot of the times, like there's a park up the street. Well, it's really a field up the street from my house right now in the Gresham neighborhood that it just sits there. And it could easily be flipped into a park, a playground. It could be a community center, whatever the case. And it's going to sit there as a field until a group of white people come in. Mm-hmm. And then as the black neighbors that have been there for umpteen years, we're going to go, how dare you white people come in and fix this neighborhood? So I get it entirely. I think we're really quick to point the finger without doing anything and taking a look at what have we done. Why was this property available for them to snatch up at such a low price? So I get it. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion. I think it's one that we all are too afraid to look in the face and accept.
Mm-hmm. But even with that, I will say that Black economics is becoming more popular. I just saw on Instagram 9 families, I believe, joined together and bought like 77 acres of land somewhere out in Georgia. You know what I mean? We even think about Nipsey Hussle, what he was able to do out in the West Coast. So we're getting there. Mm-hmm. We're getting there.
It's not impossible, but we're not where we need to be yet, y'all.
Definitely not.
Okay. But we're going to keep things trending and move along to our next city trend. We're going to turn it up on the ratchetness a little bit. You know, the M-I, crooked letter I, crooked letter I, hump back. So this isn't about Mississippi. We are Black Atlas. So you know that our focus is on the ATL. However, if we were watching P-Valley, y'all, that's what happened in Atlanta at the Cheetah over Labor Day weekend, y'all. There was a shootout at the club, and Lil Murda was nowhere to be found, y'all. Nowhere on the premises, but it still went down. Why? Like, I really don't even know if I have much to say. So we're gonna show you all the video. And
this we will show just for slick entertainment. I really hope no one was hurt, but we're gonna go ahead and watch this video.
Oh shit.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what Shawty thought she was doing. I appreciate her for trying, but she is the most out and open person. She couldn't really cock her gun. You see, she tried, and then she kind of backed up. She really was about to.
She was trying to be.
She was trying to be about it. So
I specifically watched for her. She tried to be about it,
and it didn't really work.
And there's a reason for that. Yeah. Because too often, Black women, we don't mess with guns. I'm gonna be real. Like, I personally don't mess with guns. We got to change that. Yeah. And Kwame actually has a suggestion for us, which I'm super excited about because we're gonna try it one of these days.
Yes. So my good friend Jazzy Lewis, the creator of Black Women Rights, she collaborates with Brother Coda. They do an event called Warrior Women's. They teach women how to operate firearms, right? So we see the situation where a sister was out and needed to use a gun and didn't really quite know how to manage it because, let's be real, guns require knowledge and practice and procedures, things of that nature that we just aren't comfortable with unless you use it, right? So the event happens, I believe it's once a month. Women come to a gun range and they teach you how to load the gun, how to shoot, all the safety precautions, where to go to get your license, and all those things of that nature. So even within the midst of this ratchetry, as I like to say, there's a lesson here, which is that we need to learn how to protect ourselves.
And
for
also,
ourselves.
if you can't go to Mississippi to film P-Valley, you can do it right here in Atlanta at the Cheetah.
Bet.
So that's the real lesson of the story. You know, learn how to be strapped up and do it safely and smartly. But, you know, P-Valley, if you need a plug, y'all just got to plug, y'all. I'll be an extra on the show. I promise you I will. So Mike Bloomberg today, he decided to put on that hat where he has with the black community. And he decided to donate $100K, y'all. $100K to Morehouse's
per student.
Per student.
I ain't gonna lie.
Let's emphasize that. To Morehouse House of Medicine, to each of the medical students, donated $100K, totaling out to $26 million. Now, y'all, I don't really care if Mike Bloom for the people. He can be for the people for me right now. Like, I'm for the people. Thank you for that money, Mike Bloomberg. Do I like you? Do I support you? Am I here with, you know, a frisk and stop? Nah, but thank you for that money.
That's true. Money talks. Put your money where your mouth is.
And so even though he is the mastermind behind the stop and frisk, even though he has so much negative following his record as the mayor of New York City from, I think it was 2002 to 2013, even with all of that, like, I'm super grateful for the money, but, like, is this a genuine gesture? Why is he doing it? Why at this time? Is it just, you know, because right now it's trending, it's hip to love and support Black Lives Matter. We've seen it all over the streets. We get it. Black lives are trending right now. They've always been important, but right now we're trending. So it looks real good that Mike Bloomberg just dropped $26 million on an HBCU. Mm-hmm. However, is that enough to offset all of the things that you've already done? For me personally, nah, bruh. But thanks for the money.
No, I agree. It's definitely not enough. It's definitely not enough. But I will say that for those individual students, it matters in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And when we think about the impact that that's going to have and the way that that's going to spread throughout their communities, particularly our community, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Mike Bloomberg, I don't even think you know what you did. I don't think you realize that you just enabled us to have an entire generation of Black doctors. Like, thank you. I don't know if that was what you was going for, but thank you. Because now, instead of white doctors that don't listen to what Black females say when they're experiencing pain and things like that, we're going to have our brothers in our coats and our white coats helping us out.
I hear you. I totally hear you, and I agree. However, I do not think that having Black doctors is enough. Black doctors are ignoring Black patients. The entire institution is ignoring Black patients. You have a medical structure that is not based on prevention or remedy. It's really just based on reaction, kind of like I was saying before, right? So reacting to the pain, not actually preventing the pain, right? And so as much as I love the effort, I hope that some of you who receive this money consider looking into holistic medicines. Our community needs those. We need more doctors, like shout out to Dr. Richardson at the American Center of Preventative Medicine. They use natural remedies that get down to the root of what's happening, curing cancer, diabetes, heart disease. And those three are harming our community at a higher rate than most communities, you know? And so I think it's great for us to go into these institutions and do what we can while we're there, but we have got to get away from them and build our own. So with that, take the money and build your own.
Take the money and build your own. I think that's all we need on that note. So thank you, Mike Bloomberg, for donating to Morehouse College. My men that got that money, take the money and build your own.
Ashe.
On to our next trending topic, dealing with something else. Like, you know when people talk about FOMO, fear of missing out? I don't think I have FOMO. I'm genuinely okay with not being a part of things until it deals with money. Y'all, they threw money from the top of an apartment building last week and nobody called me.
Nobody.
I'm a teacher, y'all. I need money more than anybody else. I should have been up close and personal. They should have just came downstairs and handed me a band. And they threw money from the rooftops, y'all. From the rooftops, and we weren't there. I got a problem with that because it keeps happening. So next time y'all do it, I'll let you know. Typically, I'm free on Saturday and Sunday evenings. So throw some money, hopefully on the east side. I know we like going to the west side, but I don't stay over there.
Drop the Addy.
Drop the Addy in advance. Okay, we will meet you there. We will beat you there. Just drop that money, drop them bands, and drop that Addy. All right. So that's really all that we have for our trending topics this week. And when we talk about our city trends, we're just talking about all the different things that are going up on a Monday through Sunday in the ATL, what is happening all over the city. So that's our city's trends for you. And we're going to head on into our next segment, which is BBW.
I like my girls BBW.
Hey.
But in this one, we're talking about Black Business of the Week. So take it on, Command.
Yes, so you know I am all Black everything. I do my best to support Black businesses. And honestly, y'all, it's getting easier and easier.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, if you not shopping Black, buying Black, you just, it's
You're
an
not
excuse.
trying.
You're not trying, you know. We've got We Buy Black, launched by a Black family who make it easier for you to buy Black. But we want to highlight a local Black business called Kay's Sweet Eats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a homemade dessert company started by Atlanta native Kelsey Webb. Kelsey started her company back in 2018 with the goal of baking desserts that not only look good, but taste good too. And the thing that I love about what she's doing is she includes the vegans.
Yes.
Come on, baby.
And this is a big deal. So we know that this is our first episode. Some y'all don't know, but Command and I both are vegan. We've tampered in that realm for a little bit. And y'all, being vegan and eating out and eating good and eating sweets.
Yeah, that's very true.
And eating sweets,
Sweets,
y'all,
that's
that
rare.
don't taste like a brick with some icing on it. I'm not gonna call nobody out, but I had a brick tasting piece of cake last week and they put some icing on it. And it did not taste like the cupcakes that I got from Kay's Sweet Treats.
Yeah, so her treats are available for pickup at 110 North Avondale Road in Decatur. We will leave the link in our Facebook, Instagram, everywhere to go and support her. She also is raising money for her new shop, so this is a great way to support a local Black business. We're going to go ahead and drop her GoFundMe in the link too. So donate if you can. Thank y'all. Buy Black. Stop playing. So that's it for this week's BBW. We're going to go ahead and move into this week's Tealeaf Discussion.
So in every episode, we're going to have what's called a tea leaf discussion. Basically, you know, we're going to serve you the tea.
We should start sipping some tea. Also, the seasons are changing.
It's fall.
We can be really classy with
I'm here for this.
next time.
It just won't be Starbucks, you know, nothing from Starbucks. We're going to get some real tea. We're going to make it ourselves with a tea kettle.
I actually have, it'll be another Black business.
Okay.
We'll save that for y'all.
Okay, I'm here for it. So with our tea leaf discussions, each week we dive into a different topic, whether it's a current event, whether it's something that's personally impacting our lives, or really just to shed light and highlight on one topic each week. So for myself, many of you might not know, I've mentioned it earlier throughout the show, but I am actually a 4th grade language arts teacher here in the Atlanta area. This is my 3rd year. So what we're doing for this week's Tea Leaf discussion is something near and dear to my heart, and it's talking all about COVID-19 in the classroom. So I think a lot of people recognize how much of a change that this year has been, but I don't think that they get the full perspective from what it's like to be a parent, from what it's like to be a teacher and a parent, what it's like to be a student or a kindergartner, where virtual learning in 2020 is your first exposure to what education looks like. So with this Tea Leaf discussion, the biggest part that I want to dive into from the Black Atlas perspective, from that perspective of being a 20-something-year-old African-American woman in the Atlanta area, I want to really look at our Black children and look at the inequities that are starting to form. They were already there, but there are now even larger gaps that are being created due to virtual learning. So I think what's really hidden from the public eye are these things called pods. There are educational pods, which are where families that can afford it, that have some expendable income, hire a tutor or they hire a teacher, because a lot of teachers, due to COVID-19 and the different demands, have left the education field. And so those teachers are looking for jobs, and they are taking on small groups of students. And they are the experts in that classroom, and they're becoming pod teachers. So they go to houses of these wealthy families where maybe 3 or 4 of their close friends are getting together, and they have that one teacher teach all of the students. The reason that this is leading to so many equity gaps is the fact that if you think about where I'm coming from previously, where most of my parents are single mothers, and I'm not going to do the brothers like that. We had some single dads as well, but where it's one person with these children and they're having to go to work 9 to 5. So now we have all of these elementary kids who are learning how to navigate the diverse world of virtual learning, of using all of these different apps. And bear in mind, we have people in corporate America that struggle to use Excel, that struggle to use Google Drive, that struggle to use Zoom itself. And now we're asking these 9-year-olds, these 6-year-olds, these 5-year-olds to turn in all this work, to follow along in our lesson. Put yourself on mute, turn yourself off mute. It's so many little things that are really destroying education right now with virtual learning. And if you take it outside of just the realm of, oh, their parents are at work, well, there are parents that are there that are at home helping out their kids, and they don't have Wi-Fi, or they don't have the latest technology. They don't have a MacBook. They don't have a Chromebook. And so their connectivity that they're having during our lessons, they get logged off. They're missing out on information, but they're still held to the same standard. They're still being asked to take tests on Friday and log in at certain times and being held to the exact same expectation regardless of what we're able to provide.
Are there any resources that are provided for those children?
So I think the most important thing to be aware of is how much America has put on teachers, have put on education. So there are resources that are being provided, but it's just not enough. Because think about a school. A school is there to give children breakfast and lunch. You take kids out to school, now their families are having to account for that money for the 2, 3, 4 children that usually get food at school. They're now having to figure out how they can supplement that. Then you add on, okay, well, maybe the family does have a laptop, but they have 3 kids. And so now all of those kids are waiting to log on to their class as their brother or sister is using the laptop to get their homework done for a class that they just got out of. So it's so many different things that are making virtual learning very difficult, regardless of the resources. And when I tell you, like, schools, school systems, everyone is doing their best. And I mean, that is from me, with all of the grievances that I may have with education, I can honestly say everyone is doing their best. This is something new to the entire world. Virtual learning across the board, with everyone being at home 24/7, is new to everyone. So I have grace, and I ask that others give any educators that you see, any administrators that you see, and to teachers. Give your principals and your vice principals a break as well. I know we like to gang up on them, but this is hard times for them as well. So I think the biggest thing is just really seeing what can you do to help. If you went to school and you have a background in biology and you know that there's a kid down the street that might be struggling in science, tell the neighbor, hey, I don't feel comfortable coming to your house, but if you want, I can meet with your child after school and Zoom with them and help them with their homework. Or we can work outside and do this. This is the time more than ever where our community, and I mean our community as a humanity, needs one another. This is the time where it truly is going to take every single person giving what they can for us to move forward. Because what we're going to see in the long run is that if we don't all give what we can now, we're all going to suffer later. Because if children are the future, this future has a huge gap that they're about to be missing out on. And unless we find a way to fill that, we all will suffer from the lack of knowledge that they're going to have as they move into these future roles.
And to your point, the gap is more than just knowledge, right? It's experience. You know, when I think about kindergarten teachers growing up, they had a direct impact in my life. Having someone look you in the eyes, right? Interacting with your fellow students and things like that. There's community. They're missing out on community. And that impacts your growth beyond just taking in information. So I'm wondering, how and when did you find out that your classes would be virtual?
A lot of it was very last minute, and it wasn't on the school systems, but a lot of people were trying to make decisions from what they thought was the best information that had been presented so far. So looking at what other school systems are doing, looking at what other countries around the world have done to make their best decisions. So for us, we actually started a month prior to other Atlanta, other Georgia schools, because I'm at a charter school. And so with that, prior to our start date being earlier than everyone else, we knew whether or not we were going hybrid or in person 2 weeks before students were sitting in front of us.
Was that enough time for you?
Not at all. 2 weeks isn't enough in a regular school year when you have to decorate your classes, do bulletin boards, things like that. But at least we know what we're expecting going into that. Going into a virtual world where you find out 2 weeks before you start that officially everything is online, well, that means that any notes that they would have taken in a notebook in class, I now have to find a way to digitize their notebooks. Any of the tests that I was going to give, I now have to put them in electronically. Every single thing has to be virtual. So I am staying up late at night making PowerPoints. I'm waking up early in the morning answering emails. I think people don't really realize how much time it takes to be a teacher because you never have an off switch. You go from actually teaching what people think you do to then stepping into the role of a counselor, stepping into the role of a DFACS agent, having to fill out paperwork. If maybe I saw something in the background of the video at your house that was inappropriate, if maybe someone just cursed you out, or if I saw that your eye was black on the screen, or if I see someone, not watching the kid playing with fire, I know y'all seen the video of the mama smoking weed in the background.
As she walked past.
The video, yes. So think about that now more than ever. I am right there in your home, and it is also my job to report things that I see. I am a mandated reporter. So let me have a recorded video of my Zoom class, and then something happens on that recording that I didn't report. That's on me because I should have said something. So this is a very unique world that we're living in. And in no way, shape, or form would I wish this on anyone else. And I think my worst feeling is for those kindergarteners starting education for the first time, for those freshman college students that have been looking forward to having their own dorm room, that have been looking forward to, pledging their sorority, all those different things that we know that makes college, that no longer, and in the blink of an eye, just disappeared because of COVID-19. So it's a very interesting world that we're living in, and I just hope that everyone does their part, that you pitch in. If you can tutor for someone, tutor. If you know an educator, give them a discount, give them a break, give them a shot.
Facts.
give them anything, y'all. I promise you, they're not going to turn it down. They won't. I promise you, I have drank with too many other educators. We need it, y'all. And we need it now more than ever. So if you know an educator, just put a bottle on their front door and just say thank you. Don't ask for a grade bump. Don't ask them to let your child skip a test. Just give them a free bottle of wine because we need it. We listen to your children whine all day. Give us some wine. And I'm going to end it on that note because that really is the most important thing we talked about today. Help the educator out and give them some wine. Okay? That's all I got for this Tealeaf discussion.
We need to get her some wine ASAP.
I need some wine.
What I'm hearing.
Right before this, I had 4 parent-teacher conferences.
Wow.
Virtual parent-teacher conferences. I don't want to be there. I don't. Y'all don't want to be there. We don't want to be here. But we have to be.
See, I hope that this means an increase of pay for our teachers. I don't know who I need to talk to. Where you at? What you doing, Mike Bloomberg? I don't know. Drop some money on the teachers.
Hey,
our local Atlanta public school teachers, such as Asia right here.
Yes.
Especially with the increase of more time. I mean, I've always known that teachers' hours extend beyond school.
The classroom, yes.
But hearing what you said about even more extra hours on top of that with what I'm assuming isn't an increase in pay.
Not at all.
That's just wrong.
An increase of expectations, not an increase of pay. But if we don't see policy changes, which in a lot of places we won't because unions aren't allowed, people are losing their jobs for protesting. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but just remember this point of life. Remember 2020. Remember the one time that you all stopped saying, well, if you can't do it, teach. Because you finally realize that teaching is a hard job, and it takes some really dedicated people, some passionate people to do it, and not everybody can be a teacher. So please, even if we don't get policy change now, at least remember what you saw. Remember the time that every teacher went out their way to be there for you. All the phone calls that you got asking, hey, how is your child doing right now? All those times that you didn't believe us when we said your child is bad as now you get to see it firsthand, okay? So remember this 2020 if you don't do nothing else. All right, y'all. So that concludes our Tealeaf discussion of the week. And we're going to move right along into our next segment led by Kwamea. And it is known as What the Health.
I feel great. I feel amazing today.
Yes, so my tip for this week, 2 very simple things. I like to keep it simple and holistic, right? The number 1 tip for me in these times is colloidal silver. If you aren't familiar with it, elements such as silver, gold, and copper, for one thing, are found in our bodies. we've got copper in our brains, we have copper in our guts, and adding those elements to your body helps you function more regularly. So silver is one that helps your immune system. It's antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, which is really important in these days. People are going around sanitizing their hands and not quite cleaning the inside of your body. It's important to do the same thing. So what I do is I just take the Colloidal Silver here. You can find it at Whole Foods. You can also find it at Sevenanda. And I put a couple drops under my tongue. On the description there, it'll tell you exactly how much. It's something that I try to do every day. I think when the pandemic first kicked off, I was better at it, on it regularly. But now it's just a couple times a week I do that. Very simple, wash it down with some water. The next thing is oregano oil. So you're familiar with oregano. I hope it's in the mint family. It's actually one of the most powerful antibiotics. Mm-hmm. Both of these are antibiotics.
We put the droplets of oregano under our tongue. Right,
exactly. And it's really powerful. So I recently traveled. I went to Boston. And when I came back, I just was feeling like, too much exposure. I need to, So I went straight home to my cabinet, put some oregano oil right under my tongue. And I just felt like a nice reset, especially after all that exposure. So like I said, it's a very powerful antibiotic. And whenever you take antibiotics, you want to make sure that you get probiotics, because antibiotics wipes out all the bacteria. It doesn't discriminate. So whenever you're taking an antibiotic, add a probiotic into your body, right? So if you're going to take oregano oil, you don't want to do it more than once or twice a week. It's a really powerful herb. It's important to dilute it. I recommend diluting it in water. You can also dilute it in something like olive oil and flush it down. But that is going to kill bacteria in your body. And then you can go ahead and add a probiotic to it. So these two very simple things, colloidal silver and oregano oil, I promise you, your immune system will thank you. So that concludes our What the Health segment. I hope that this helps you find some more holistic remedies and that you utilize it for yourself and your family. So share the knowledge. We're going to go into our next segment, which is Lift Every Voice.
Lift every voice and sing.
Asia has a really beautiful voice. Asia, trying to drop a little color.
Cash at me. Ooh, that's all I got for y'all.
Facts. I think we should drop both of our cash apps. Actually, we are both deserving. So our Lift Every Voice and Sing segment highlights Atlanta artists, and today we're highlighting Rex Evans. We'll be playing his new track, Changes.
I remember my Cascade days.
Hey man, we all got them.
Come on.
Tell me what's that about? I could've pulled you up, you just had to stay down. You only hit me up when your man not around, and I only hit your line when I pull back in town. Say my name, it's been a little minute and I know it ain't the same. Was it real, was it fake? It was wild back then, but we should've played it safe. I was down for the chase and I said I need space, then things change. About the distance, now I'm back at you. Heard he made you misses, you want last daddy. Feel like something missing since I last had you. We was beefing, now you vegan, say it's all natural. I guess the yoga and Pilates got your ass fat. You gon' have to show me that you feel different. Drinks with your friends and I know you still mentioning you still say my name. It's been a little minute and I know it ain't the same. Was it real?
Okay. I'll take that. I must admit, when the video started, I definitely thought it was going to be a typical, Cascade video. I thought it was just going to be, some rollerblades, all the little stereotypical things. So I'm not going to lie. I was pleased with that. I think you showcased Cascade very well.
I agree. I think it was really smooth. It had a nice, grown, and sexy vibe to it. Yeah, so y'all go and stream that track. Go and follow Rex Evans on Instagram. We'll link his account below. All right, so that concludes the first episode of Black Atlas.
We official, y'all.
Yes.
Official. So make sure that you all please follow us on our personal social media. For me, that'll be Mrs. MRS_motive8, the number 8.
And I am Creole Griot Productions. And follow our network at Atlanta Decoded, where we'll be dropping new episodes every week.
So we'll see you next week. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure that you subscribe, and we look forward to having you all back here with the Black Atlas.
Peace.